Hello, Star Citizens, and welcome to Review Every Ship in Star Citizen. We reviewed every ship in Star Citizen during the 2024 calendar year. This is just us adding the new ones, so to speak, just to keep true to our series name and provide a one-stop shop for every ship you need a review for. Now, remember, digital ships aren't imaginary. Digital ships are imagine-necessary. This month's giveaway prize is going to be an RSI Perseus, so make sure you're subscribed for that. To enter the contest, if you are a subscriber before December 1st, 2024, make sure you're subscribed to Billionaire Ninjas, leave a comment on at least one video, and like or dislike at least one video. If you were subscribed, but now you subscribed after December 1st, or on December 1st, make sure you share a video on at least 2 social media accounts and leave a comment on every video from this month. Winners have 2 weeks to claim their prize. Members collectively have a greater chance of winning just for being members. So if you're subscribed, consider hitting that join button. And if you're not subscribed, I appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. For the full giveaway details, make sure you visit our Billionaire Ninjas Discord or our social media at Ninjas Leap. We will do this giveaway at the end of the In Case You Missed It sale, which hasn't started yet, but it should start somewhere in the beginning of January, somewhere in the next week or two. And we will do it at the end of that just to make sure we give people enough time to participate. So go watch all those December videos to make sure that you have time to participate. And make sure that you're also leaving comments on the videos from this month. I'm so ready for that. All right. Today, we return to the Anvil manufacturer, and the next ship is the Anvil Paladin. We have the Paladin, which starts at $300 standalone, $260 war bond, and was $260 at concept. Cost in game is unknown. Heavy gunship equipped to take down huge targets, the Anvil Paladin.
Take a giant step for mankind.
For measurements, the Paladin has a length of 53 meters, beam of 38.5 meters, height of 14.5 meters, and it is a size 4 large ship. Its minimum crew is 1 and its maximum crew is 4. It can carry 0 SCU and it has an unknown amount of internal stowage. The claim time for the Paladin is unknown, but I would expect it to be similar to the Valkyrie at about 17 minutes, expedited at about 5.5 minutes, and the expedited fee at about 8,440 credits as a 4.0 at least. For speed, the Paladin's speed is unknown. However, I would expect it to be similar to the Redeemer, but a bit slower as they stated in the Q&A. I'm guessing it will have a top SCM speed around 190, which is below average for its class and size. The same can be said for its nav max speed, which I think will be around 1,000, which is again slightly below average for its class and size. When it comes to maneuverability, I think it'll be kind of the same story. It'll be slightly less maneuverable than the Redeemer, and I would say that's going to be below average maneuverability for its class. For weapons, the Paladin has 1 size 5 remote quad turret, 2 remote size 4 dual turrets, no man turrets, and 6 size 4 missiles, split between 6 size 4 missile racks. The hull HP for the Paladin is unknown, but I would expect it to be above 100,000, which is way above average overall for its class. This is assuming that it will be one of the most well-armored ships in its class, but not at the very top of its class because of its large shield, which will make up the difference. But it's very possible that they go above and beyond to make sure that this is the toughest ship in both categories, including shields and ability to take hits once the shields are down. Speaking of those shields, I believe on the Paladin, which they're unknown, I would say that they're probably going to be the sure stop shields, the military grade C quadrant type shields, with a HP of about 52,000 total and a regen rate of about 965 HP per second. For ship parts, the Paladin has 1 medium radar, 1 medium computer, 2 medium power plants, 2 medium coolers, 1 large shield generator, 1 fuel intake, 1 fuel tank, a medium quantum drive, a medium jump module, and 1 quantum fuel tank. I do like the redundancy. For fuel, it has way above average hydrogen capacity for its class. For quantum fuel, it's way above average for its class. I mean, these are what I think is going to happen just because it's a large ship, and most large ships have that ability to go pretty far. For quantum capability, the Paladin most likely will use the cross-field military grade C quantum drive, which makes it interstellar. That means you can travel anywhere in the system multiple times without refueling, and will also have fuel to make it to your next destination in a neighboring star system. And that's kind of the highest standard for long distance travel. For special features and amenities, the Paladin will have a lot of amenities. It will have armor lockers, weapons racks, bathrooms, 4 beds, storage lockers, a kitchenette, and a small dining area. Now, it does keep 4 people on it, so that means all of those things will have enough for 4 people. My preferred loadout for this ship I will reveal when the ship is released. Now, I need to do a quick shout out for my members, my First Ninjas, Arthur Vandalay, Survivor the Hero, Ray, my Hokages, Dr. Forbin, Old Weeb, ETL in Spades, my Joni Ninjas, Radium TX, Paling Tan, The Solid Exodus, Damon Danielson, Dark Wolf God, The Real Phil 64, and Rage 1. And of course, all of my other members from every level who are all listed at the end of the video. As always, membership is never required, but always appreciated. You help make this YouTube dream even more possible, so thank all of you. Now it's time to rate this ship. A rating I rate from 1 to 10. My 1 is only by if you have a unique reason that is specific to you or because you like the looks of the ship. My 10 is basically if you have the money, this ship is almost guaranteed to be useful to you in the game. A 1 doesn't mean the ship is useless or ugly, and a 10 doesn't mean that the ship is perfect. Just remember, this is just our rating. Please give us yours in the comments down below. And when you comment, just remember, the internet is forever. My rating for this ship overall is an 8. Let's start with what I like about this ship. Well, it's what a lot of people have been asking for, a tougher Valkyrie with more firepower and armor. It was a good move for 2024 for CIG to give their fans a few ships that they have been wanting for a while. The Polaris, the Terrapin Medic, and a more gunship-oriented Valkyrie, which of course is the Paladin. The ship doesn't have any cargo. If you want that, get a Redeemer if you want a little, or a Valkyrie if you want a lot, or there's a few other options we'll talk about later. But CIG continues their crusade to convince people that there is no such thing as a perfect ship, and they should all be purpose-built with a few exceptions for modularity and a multi-role capability. Straight up, the Paladin does not need a cargo space. It's not for that. If your only argument is that it's big enough to fit a cargo grid, then so is nearly every other ship. But I'll say this, they gave a few SCU in the Redeemer, and then all people did was say it wasn't enough SCU. Then they gave more in the Valkyrie, then people complained that it didn't have enough firepower. Thank you, CIG, for giving people what they need instead of trying to kick towards the constantly moving goalpost. Now, of course, there will be people who say the Redeemer was nerfed simply because they wanted to sell the Paladin. But looking at their intended purpose now that we have all the information available and verified, I'm willing to say that the Paladin and the Redeemers serve 2 different purposes. As was always discussed, the Redeemer is the faster, more maneuverable gunship with less firepower and armor, and the Paladin is the tougher gunship that packs more of a punch, but is slow and maneuvers more like a boat. We constantly ask CIG to balance the game, and when they finally do, I don't want to give them a black eye for it because it meant changing the functionality of a beloved ship. If fun gameplay is king, then balance is queen in my eyes. And it looks like CIG is trying to make that the reality with this chess move, while some of the less informed fans are still stuck in a game of checkers. The Paladin is long-range, multi-crew with a true option to take the exact number of people along that you want. It is perfectly viable with 2 people, viable with 3, and of course optimal with 4. It has enough amenities to keep you alive and well out on patrol. I really appreciate that all the turrets are remote as well. It has exactly what a military patrol ship needs. Nothing more, nothing less. Everyone knows I love a good multi-role ship, especially when it comes with some extra cargo capacity and some extra functionality. However, that doesn't mean I think every ship needs to have those things. This is a prime example of that. I actually would love to rate it higher, but until I get to test its numbers, I'm not going any higher than an 8. What are the issues, and how would I fix this ship? Now that I've said all that, I think the ship still could use a few things, but very much so, only a few. It needs some smaller missiles to go along with the larger missiles, and I don't think it has enough of those larger missiles, to be completely honest. I would love to see it add some size 1s or size 2s to help it fight off fighters, considering it can't exactly outmaneuver them. If this ship was to add functionality, the only one I could see it having is maybe a holding cell to open it up to bounty hunter gameplay. A little bit. But that's not something I would take a point off for. I also think this would have probably been the perfect time to introduce the triple size 4 turret on the sides. You know, it has 2 on the sides, but I think 3 on the sides would have made it a little bit more perfect, especially at that $300 price range. Because if you're going to not give it that functionality I mentioned earlier, and if you're not going to give it that cargo space, and if you are going to ask for $300, this thing better be able to beat the competition handily in a gunship battle, because that is what you're saying. It is a dedicated gunship, which is another reason I can't rank it higher until it's out. I'm not certain it will beat an Andromeda. It seems like it would come out on top, of course, but the fact that it's a question I have to ask is part of the problem, because the Andromeda does have that extra ability to carry an Ursa-sized vehicle or cargo, and it has a lot, and I mean a lot more missiles to bring to bear. Again, to be clear, the Paladin does not need cargo spaces to be legit. However, the last thing you want anyone to call a dedicated hole puncher of a gunship is not powerful enough. The small missiles and extra guns would give people a lot more comfort with what they give up. In fact, I argue that the Paladin's biggest flaw as a gunship is its lack of better missile loadout. Either more size 4s or some additional racks for size 1s or size 2s would make this ship a lot more believable as the true gunship of the bunch. So who is this ship for? As we talked about with the Guardian, at least, this is also a patrol ship, but with much more people in mind. I can see the Guardian QI and the Paladin being used together to start a very solid, small patrol fleet. This fills the gap for people who like the Constellation but would prefer it to be more dedicated to the gunship role. It fills the gap for the Redeemer people who preferred it when it had more firepower, and they don't care that much about gunship maneuverability and speed. This also fills the gap for the people who wanted the Valkyrie to be punchier rather than its intended role as a dropship. This is the gunship for people who understand the role of a gunship. Why is it an 8? Well, I kind of stated this one a bit out of order, but to reiterate, it's not out yet, so a lack of testing is part of that reason. But it's also its lack of the ability to fight smaller ships with missiles, and it very well might have a slight lack in firepower without the addition of either those missiles or a few more guns on those side turrets. I imagine using this ship exactly as intended, to house my primary gunship crew when the job is too small for my Perseus, which would act as a capital, and I'm using quotation marks there because it's technically not a capital, but it would be my capital for my security team. I could see my patrol team around my base or space station looking like 2 Guardians, a Mantis, a Starlancer TAC, 2 Paladins, 2 Perseus, and a Polaris, with a few Furies in all the hangars and cargo bays. The Polaris would be landed but manned with a quick reaction force. 1 Perseus would be just above atmosphere but stationary to direct the battle with a Starlancer TAC protecting it. Another Perseus would be out patrolling, but the whole thing falls apart without the Paladins backing up the Perseus and working together with those Guardians. I know you're here for our rating, but if you really want a ship, go buy it. We won't stop you. Or even better, all the ships can be earned in-game once the game releases, and some you can purchase in-game right now. These are just our ratings, but when you spend, it's your money. My opinion, if you're in need of a gunship, ask yourself, what does your fleet need? What are your org needs? And what is your gameplay style like? If you want a ship that can at least take a bit of cargo and are willing to forego the extra armor and firepower, get the more agile and faster Redeemer. If you want to take a vehicle with you along with a lot of people, rather than have that ton of firepower, get the Valkyrie. If you want more firepower, less people carrying capability, but still need a bit more cargo, get a Corsair. If you want more cargo in your gunship, get an Andromeda. But if you want firepower and toughness, you get a Paladin. It's hard to really rank one over the other because they all have their place in the gunship conversation and they all fit different needs. I don't have a place for this right now because I think I have my bases covered with my Starlancer TAC, Perseus, and A2, but for most people who are in search of a gunship, I think this one is for the fleet, folks. All right, that is it for this one. Shout out to the members. Thank you for spending your time with us. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.